What's up, brothers? Today I want to talk about the Awalt. Awalt is an acronym for All Women Are Like That. Now, some of you who are still operating through a blue-pilled lens may hear this term and chalk it off as hateful rhetoric towards women. But those of you who are red-pilled, you will become firmly engaged with this conversation because you have an understanding of women and female nature. Now, I can't tell anybody else's story. You know, I can regurgitate somebody else's words and somebody else's definitions, but that's not my style and that's not unique, and you know, to be quite honest, that's boring and I don't think people want to hear that. But what I can do is speak my own words and use this channel as somewhat of an autobiography, you know, tell my story and possibly help some other guys. So let me start out with the first woman in my life, my mother, right? My mother met my father. My father was a military man, college educated. By career, he worked in upper management at his job. He was also an entrepreneur, and you would probably consider him somewhat of an alpha Chad. He worked out, 6 feet tall, military man, you know. You can kind of paint the picture yourself. Just a successful guy, you know, from every angle of life, I guess you could say. So he and my mom met, and they had 2 children, and in the middle of the night one night she left him, and you know, he was of course forced to pay the alimony, the child support, you know, all that stuff for the next more than 10 years, the next 13 years, 14 years. And I grew up with a single mother, okay? And I grew up believing that my dad was some sort of an evil person, right? Because I was still operating through the blue-pilled lens, you know. I was believing the ideology of my mother and the ideology of, you know, a gynocentric society, and that's really all that I had to go off of, you know. So fast forward to my first serious adult relationship with my ex-fiancée. We were together for 8 years. I was in college. I don't know if I would go as far as to call myself a Chad, but you know, 6 feet tall, average looking, fit, excelling in college. You know, I seemed to have things together quite a bit. And she developed a case of the baby rabies, right? So my ideology and my planning was to finish college, get my career going, and have a baby, you know? Seemed like that was the proper step to take. And her irrational thinking, and when a woman has baby rabies, baby fever, she will be completely irrational, okay? It was baby right now. You know, this led to a lot of arguments. One thing led to another, and we split up, okay? I won't go through all the details, but we split up. And within a couple months after us splitting up, after an 8-year relationship, she was pregnant by some random guy. And She was not even positive if it was his baby, okay? That's how bad this baby fever was. She was out there, you know, drugs, alcohol, sex with as many guys as possible, the same way a female dog does when she's in heat. You know, you leave the door open for too long and she's gone. She's out getting humped by all the mutts out there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Fair comparison. You know, we're all creatures of this world. We all operate with, you know, similar behaviors. And that's to me, that's a fair comparison. So, anywho, at this point in time, I was single. I wasn't bitter about the situation at all. To be honest, I was going my own way. And keep in mind, this was 4 years ago, before the MGTOW movement had really taken off, before anybody knew who Sandman was. You know, I was a man going my own way, but I didn't know anything about any of this terminology from the MGTOW community, the red pill, the Awalt, the Nawalt, you know, the any of it. I didn't know what any of it meant. I had never heard of it before, but I was a man going my own way. However, I was still operating through a blue-pilled lens, I should say. You know, even though my instincts were that of a MGTOW, that of a red-pilled MGTOW, my ideology was still somewhat blue-pilled. I couldn't quite get a grasp on the way things worked. And guys, Awalt, the crescendo of the MGTOW community, the zenith of the manosphere. You know, I just couldn't quite grasp what the meaning of all this stuff was. And you know, that's when all of it, you know, started to come together. I started to realize, like, wow, like, this is it, guys. This is this is the way life's gonna go. I can cuck up and be some woman's bitch, or I can go my own way, right? And that's when the emergence of Sandman, you know, and Sandman, guys, if any of my viewers don't know who Sandman is, this guy is literally, and I'll post a link of his channel in my description. This guy is preaching a verbal Bible of MGTOW. I mean, if you check out his channel, he is spot on accurate. Guys, he is literally paving the way for the MGTOW. Okay? But anyways, as I began to put things together, put the pieces of this puzzle together with the help of many others, you know, I looked at my mother, my ex, every woman that I've been with, the women that I was dating or sleeping around with. I was just evaluating all of this behavior, and it became painfully obvious that every woman I've ever known, every woman I've ever dated, every woman, and you know, my mother, my sister, ex-fiance, all of my ex-girlfriends, they were all using men for either looks, money, or resources, right? I mean, it became so mind-blowing. You know, I became so fascinated and so obsessed with the situation. I just had to keep digging further and further. And the red pill in the MGTOW community, the red pill is the Awalt, okay? That is the red pill, guys. All women are like that. That is the red pill. It's so important to grasp this concept. And any blue-pilled man that just views that as some sort of hate speech, you know, that is not productive thinking. That is backwards thinking, you know, and you're gonna set yourself up for disaster if you're thinking that way. So I really hope, you know, I I really hope we can educate as many men as possible to, think like the rest of us. Because as of right now, the vast majority of men, I would say 75%, 80% possibly, of men are very, very blue-pilled, right? They feel like being used as a utility is the norm. And it doesn't have to be. Guys, it does not have to be. MGTOW is the answer. If we want to take this world back, guys, MGTOW is the answer. Anyways, guys, that's just my talk on the Awalt. Anyways, guys, that's my version of the Awalt in my own words. And that's all I have for today. As always, stay MGTOW.